Hello, good evening, and welcome. It's SaaS Friday, the best day of the week because SaaS is my favourite business model, and we're here to celebrate that and to make it funky. And of course, I'm going to sneeze. What a dynamic start to the show, sneezing. Brilliant. I don't know, I can't control when I'm going to sneeze. Anyway, let's get straight to it, sneezes and all. So, yeah, that's working. Brilliant. Am I going to sneeze again? Hang on. No, apparently I'm not. Okay. Anyway, SaaS Friday, in between sneezes. Hopefully there'll be more show than sneezes. Hopefully. Anyway, last week I told you about the critical step in making your SaaS work. And as I explained to you last week, I lied because there are three. There are three critical steps. And I gave you one last week, and that was a doozy. That's an absolute doozy. So that's in the paid vault now if you need it, but it's fantastic. And this week I hope will be equally fantastic, but different. So let's see. So that's kind of the one we did last week. So this is about conversion. So if you think about it, this is the biggest thing in success in one way. In fact, it's equally one of the three major important ones. But obviously, if you can't persuade people that your thing is good, then they're not going to buy, which is a huge issue. So there are loads of other steps, but I'm focusing on two factors in conversion. One is framing, which is basically your presentation or your story, as I like to call it. And the other one is kind of the stories you tell, and particularly about your client successes. Because that's kind of our social proof. Because if other people are having success, with it, then then it's obviously working. Okay, so social proof, i.e. case studies. Of course, I didn't really want that underlined and bolded. Thank you. Oops. There we go. I think it might be a bit small, but I don't know how many we're going to do. But anyway, let's just make it a tad bigger. So, let's just do that. So basically the difference between framing and story, because framing is, presentation, but it's really also, the story. But the difference with this is it's kind of your story, but for them. Okay? Whereas this is stories of, actual users. So that's kind of the difference. But they're all, they're all, about your thing. Okay? So your version, your story is one half of it, and then your user's story is the other half of it, basically. So that's the main thing. I probably could list a load of other stuff there, but I'm not going to overload you with that right now. Because you haven't told me what you do, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing, which seems fair enough to me, because it's my show. But if you want to leave a comment below or contact me by any method at all and tell me what you do, then I'm very happy to cover that instead. So just do that. Leave me a message what you do. Wow, coughing and sneezing. What a fantastic snow. Okay, anyway, so framing, which is, as I basically, say, your story, but for them, and for them's probably super important, I imagine. So remember that bit, for them. What am I going to talk about? So my current thing is called Anytime Webinars. and simplistically, it's a a webinar replay platform, but it isn't. But if you wanted to, pigeonhole it, stereotype it, that would be it. But I guess the story is that it feels like live because it interacts. Okay, so summing up in one sentence, that's what it is. Obviously, it can get more complicated than that, and I could probably talk for hours about it. But the basic thing is that the status quo of webinar replays is basically a video, which is about as exciting as cheese. Although cheese is pretty nice though. But it's not the live event that that a webinar purports to be. Okay, so something went wrong there, and that basically means that it's a non-congruent thing, because you're basically saying, must come and watch my replay video, because it can't possibly be available to watch at any time, except that it is. So that's why it's non-congruent. And that puts you off to a really bad start with the audience, because you've already lied to them by telling them that they had to come to your video replay before you take it down. Because why? Yeah. Anyway, so they're videos, and then on top of that, webinars have basically been abused, really, for want of a better word, because people do them as presentations and not interactive. Okay, so the live thing is pants, and the replay thing is pants. So all in all, the great thing that event marketing is has been spoiled because it's not congruent. It's not really a live event. The audience don't make any difference. So this is the problem with you doing it as a presentation. The audience makes no difference to the presentation. Basically, that's the problem. And if we're lucky, there may be a Q&A at the end, maybe. But even then, they're fed and summarised questions. Okay, because we can't rely on the audience to be intelligent. No offence. So we prepare questions and we summarise the questions for the questions that are likely to be asked. So there's even no such thing as an original question. So we even have the answers to the questions that we ask ourselves when we put on a webinar. Okay, I know that sounds horrible, but practically that's what you have to do if you want to kind of a moderately slick webinar. That's what you have to do to kind of prepare everything. So that's okay, except that when you say that that's a live event and that the audience has to be there to make a difference, and they come and they make no difference, then that's why it's non-congruent. And if they do ask any questions and interact, it usually throws the presenter off his thread, and then he can't remember what he's going to say next. Or certainly when I do them, it is. Because it's hard. It's a hard skill. If you're having a conversation and somebody takes you down another rabbit hole, you go down the rabbit hole. Which is fine for conversation, but for a webinar where you're trying to actually get your point across and trying to get to the end, where you're trying to, sell your thing, do your pitch, then it's not helpful. And that's why things are prearranged in webinars, but that's why it's non-congruent, because we're not honest about that. So the thing about anytime webinars is that we're honest about it. There is no panic to come. It is a video. It will always be there. But it feels like live because it does actually interact. And what it does is it frees, don't you spell freeze? Anyway, frees the presenter to Q&A 100% of the time and focus on that without ruining the presentation. Okay, and it feels like live, which you have to experience to quite understand why that is. But it's congruent because we're coming straight out of the bat and says we got a webinar on. You can watch it anytime you like. It really doesn't matter, but we want you to see it. But then we do something that makes it feel like live, gets their attention, makes them focus, and then they get basically a perfect presentation. Okay, and we're not lying about the fact that it's basically a pre-recorded, rehearsed, presentation. Slick, which also is in their benefit because it doesn't mean, it means it doesn't waste their time, and make sure that, it's, 100% value. Because he's not going, what was I going to say? Oh, it's a question from Norris. Oh, hello, Norris. How you doing, Norris? Yeah, I remember you back in the, all that crap out of the window. Because no, it's two different things. The presentation is the presentation. If they got questions, that's handled, 100% focused. So, but it's not a hybrid webinar either, if you've heard of those. I won't bother explaining what they are. But that's where you do a video and you do a live chat at the same time. So it's not even that. Okay, it's a very mysterious platform, isn't it? So it's not that. It's a bit like that, but it's not like that. So, so event marketing is great, but webinars have jaded people. And replays pants, really, basically. Really? Yeah, because you might as well just say, come watch my video. Anytime you like. But then the video doesn't have the excitement of event marketing. So this is where Anytime Webinars comes in. Okay, so I've probably been mysterious enough about that now. And we need to answer the question. So how do I put all of that, what I kind of just intimated, but hopefully better, into, my story, into the story, into the framing story. So, I suppose simplistically the answer is tell it as a story. But what is the story? And also, let's not forget that you're telling it for them, not for you. Okay, it's not about you. They don't care about you. They want to know how they can, borrow your success for themselves and use it for themselves. They don't care how much money you got. They want the money. Okay, they want their own money. They want to hear about how much money you've got. They want their own money. So that's why it's about telling it for them, not them. Okay, so the short answer is what I did here was I did the classic SaaS geek speak, where I talked about my own product, which is boring, really, because nobody really cares how clever it is, or what the algorithm is, or anything like that. Only other, my competitors would be interested in that, but not my customers. What my customers want to know is the story for them, and I keep saying it, but it's basically about their success. So what story, I'll even write that down, what story can I tell to show them their success? Not mine, theirs. And it's not my customers, because my customer's success is in the next thing. Oh yeah. Okay, and that's the social proof. So we're coming to that. We probably won't have even time to do that in this version. Yeah, we're going out. Good. So what story can I tell to show them their success? Okay, so I have to make it relevant to them with an outcome they'd appreciate. Okay, so really, certainly in my case for this thing, the easiest thing for me to do is to tell the story of the status quo and the before and after. Okay, so the before is the status quo with the webinars and the replays, and then the after is with anytime webinars. But there's not much of a story in there yet, so now we have to introduce more of a story. Now I need to do that. Okay, don't forget the story is for them. It's not about you, how clever you are, how nice or pretty your thing is. It's literally, Wi-Fi F, can't even say that now. Wi-Fi FM, what's in it for them? Okay, always, really. So suppose we've got the status quo. Let me just copy that in, so I've got some continuity here. Right, there we are. So we want to get over the status quo before and after, but we want to make it more of a story. I don't mean, Jack and Jill went up the hill, or, Jack was a plumber, or, and discovered a hole in the bucket, or anything like that. Not that kind of story. So how do we make that more into a story, that's relevant? So we basically want to tell the story of, how and why event marketing is, so powerful and gets results. Then we want to say, basically how webinars used to work, and then how replays, diluted even that, and what the cure is, which is basically the discovery. And this discovery will be how it will help them. Okay, so that's basically what we need to do. So I don't know if we can visualize this any better with, could be that one or that one. We'll do that one, although I don't think it's got any text frames in it, but anyway, we'll see. Why can't I do that? There we go. Okay, and then basically the proof and why, and what life's like for them once they have it. Okay, that's basically the plan. Okay, and now how do we make that interesting and exciting? That's a bit harder, but that's the basic framework, that we're trying to tell. And as part of the framing, obviously we're coming in with a success and showing them a successful example. Then that's gonna get them excited about success and show them that the success is based in it. So we're going to get desire in there straight away. And then, then basically we're talking about the problem that has arisen. and then our discovery to cure that. And then we put the proof in, and then what life's like. So you may kind of recognise that as a bit of a kind of a sales letter kind of layout kind of thing. Hang on, let me just drink my drink. Instead of pouring it over myself. So anyway, let's just do that one. Let's just outline it a bit, and then we'll have to go back and think of some exciting words to actually describe it. Power of event marketing. Okay, that could easily be a statistic and a case study. When I say case study, I mean a fact. Of an example of somebody. It doesn't have to be long. Just what results that they got out of it. Preferably a big player. Okay, and if we could come up with a big brand that had success with it, then that'd be good. So power of event marketing, certainly a powerful thing to start with. So that's good. Then basically it will be the transition. From it's not really bricks and mortar in it, but anyway, from bricks and mortar to online. So but it's basically the early days of the webinar. So this is a bit like a history thing. This doesn't sound very exciting, does it? I might scrap this in a minute. Anyway, which is history of stuff. And then and then the problem that happened with that. Okay, so all of that, and then it'd be a discovery and then all the other stuff. But I've decided this is too boring to even complete. So we're not going to do it like this. So, but this is a classic kind of sales letter. That we could use, but I don't think that many people would find it that exciting. So instead, let's think of a different angle. So instead, I think the story will be an opinion experience piece, and it can actually be a start of a story. In fact, I even got one today. This is this isn't going to be English anyway, but basically I got emails all last week. Panic, come to the webinar. Okay, wasn't impressed, didn't go. Okay, again, panic, come to the webinar. One more time or something like that. So they actually put this webinar on, about 5 times actually. Just in case I'd missed it live. And they really did do it live. This wasn't a replay. They actually did it live. But then I didn't, I wasn't impressed. Didn't go. So eventually, you know, after whatever it is, you know, 5-6 days, whatever. Okay, I got the replay. Okay, so all this panic wasn't true. Replay, and then so you know, I actually you know, skim watch the webinar, and guess what? It was a pitch fest, and it was something like 50 minutes long, and you know, 10 minutes was, you know, who I am, all that crap. I don't care who they are. Given the benefit of the doubt, 20 minutes, although I'm not sure it was that long, of actual value. And then 20 minutes of closing, you know, pitching. I call it pitching because it was really pitching. And then 10 minutes of Q&A, but it wasn't even Q&A about the value, but it was Q&A about the pitch. So, you know, out of this whole thing, there was 20 minutes of value. Okay? And even worse than that, you know, the premise that they told me was about, you know, one thing. In fact, I'll tell you what it is. Yeah, they said that there was a gig industry, okay, that you could, you know, basically, you know, profit from instantly, okay. Surprise, surprise. And actually, you know, they lied, and it was actually about Kindle books. Now, maybe the Kindle book was the gig. Okay, I didn't even bother listening to the whole thing to connect the dots, but I suspect the Kindle book was the gig. So it might be that you write one for somebody else or something like that. Okay, yeah, as I said, I didn't even bother, you know, to listen to it. Okay, now that's the story. It's moderately interesting because it's true. It happened to me, and it's probably happened to you in various guises. So you can relate to it, and you can see why it should have been good and why it wasn't good. And it's a true story. It is actually a true story. I'm not actually making it up. That is actually a true story. It happened this week, and the replay was this morning. And that's true. And you know, and that basically is the state of the webinar strategy. I don't know if it's an industry. I'll call it strategy. I'm just going to put that on that line just so I can fit that in. And obviously, you know, that, frankly, personally annoys me. Okay? So that's my introduction. That's my story. It really, I think, epitomizes everything, you know, that I want to say. As I say, it's true. And it kind of highlights, you know, everything that's wrong. Okay? So that's actually my, you know, get you interested kind of thing. And, you know, I am then going to go into the straight discovery. Okay? Which is why my thing, you know, which is a very quick, almost one diagram thing of, you know, the status quo, you know, like we put in before. And I won't put in the transition, but, you know, in fact, it's none of these actually. It's really, let me put it in here. It's really just, in fact, we got, I'll do 2 boxes. It's really just one part of what I hinted at before, which is before Okay, the main problem with that being that it's incongruent, or just plain out lying, really, and the after, or the new, or today, I don't know what we call it, new today, which is, the main thing about it is it's congruent and it feels like live, and it's a better service to the audience. Okay, because the Q&A is focused. Okay, and that's really it, and that's really the case. That's my framing, because it's basically, as we said, all the power of live marketing, but without the incongruency, and without lying. And the lack of lying is going to increase your conversions, because people are going to be more interested in listening to you because you're not lying, basically. So that's the thing. So whatever I just said then was actually kind of pretty good, actually. So that would be the message that I'd want to put in. People will listen more, and conversions will go up, because they have to listen to you and they have to believe you, and if you're not lying and you're being congruent, then there's more chance of all of that happening. And that's basically, bottom line, what Anytime Webinars does. So it doesn't actually matter at all about the tech, or even why it works, but the fact that it does work and how it works in terms of what they do as a presenter, that's what matters here. And I think that, what we just did there is a much more exciting framing story than doing this kind of sales letter journey, problem, agitate, all that nonsense. This is a real story, and it's happening to them, and that's a great opening line. This is a real story, and it's happening. And I'm sure it's happening to you too. Okay, that's a good bit of copy there. Okay, so that's not a bad opening line. It's fairly riveting. Sorry about all the typos in here. Okay, so there we go. That's the framing. So the framing basically is that this is a real story, and it's something that annoyed me, and I wanted to find a solution for myself. And actually that's true as well. I couldn't actually buy this solution anywhere. They all had issues, so I had to build it myself, and that's actually the truth about this. And out of that story, you can see the problem here. And this whole panic thing they recognise, and then the 5 days later the replay anyway, and then the fact that it was basically a pitch, an out and out pitch without pretending to be content. Okay, these are all the problems with this thing, and as I say, it annoyed me. I wanted to create my own. I couldn't find one to buy. So I had to build my own. I'll just put my notes in there. Annoyed me. Couldn't buy one. Had to build my own. And that's 100% true. I really couldn't. I did need it. I do need it. I couldn't buy it, so I did have to build my own. Okay, I'm telling the story the way that it actually is. It's the truth. And I'm not having to, big up my platform or explain or educate people about, or anything that's funky about it or clever about it. Out of this, it should be fairly obvious that if you want to do, and I guess this will be the close. If you want to use the power of event marketing, but without being incongruent, which is really another word for lying, then consider anytime webinars, basically. And that's it. So I think, that's the story. And I think, as I say, I think it's a far more interesting story than, going through the, rigmaroles of, copywriting and pain and agitation and all that kind of thing. I think this is basically, far more interesting, far more effective. It's a fairly interesting story to sell. Obviously, we can phrase it better. That first line, this is a real story, and I'm sure it's happening to you. That's not a bad first line. It's better than, hello, I'm Roger, and I was born in the gutter, and and I had 3 kids, and it was terrible, and then I did this, and I became really successful, and now I got loads of money, and now I'm going to share it with you because I'm such a nice guy. It's just crap. I mean, it may even be true, but it's just not interesting. It's just so... we've heard it so many times before that whoever it did actually happen to, it's just not believable anymore, which is a bit crazy, really. But anyway, but the bottom line is we don't care. We don't care what his life was like and what his life's like now. What we care about is whether we can have it as well. Okay? And, that's... that's the point, and that's basically my closing line. Now you can have it as well. So, hopefully, that inspires you a little bit. But, you can see the basic problem is that, we're coming out of the cold. People may not even know that they need a webinar system at all, let alone a replay one, let alone a anytime webinar one. And our tendency, exactly like I did, was to tell you about how great it was, and wherever it was, and that's just not, interesting. And the whole kind of working up to the thing and agitating the problem and the discovery and all this kind of thing, just so formulaic, just not interesting. Whereas we come in with the real story, it actually happened to me this week. As I say, the replay was today. These are all the issues that, that we're all very used to experiencing with webinars. And now we're saying, today it can change. You do it this way, it's congruent. Your audience will love you, believe you, and get a better experience out of it. It's as easy as it was before, but this just makes it much better, much more possible to do it congruently. Okay, and that's it. And I think that kind of works. It may not be the best thing in the world, but it's a lot better, than this kind of alternative here. And as I say, it's a story. It's not. It's a true story. It's not. Bob met John kind of story, or those ridiculous whiteboard things where this is Roger and he had a problem with his webinars. How old do they think we are? We're not kids. Those kind of things are obviously so fake. And it's a disservice to the toon characters, because toons are great, but it's just we don't want to put lies into the mouths of the toons. So this is just the truth. This is implies exactly what will happen to them. Maybe we'll bullet point out again, the advantages, but basically this is it. And in fact, there is a diagram of before and after in terms of I don't know what they are actually, not features or outcomes or results or benefits, but they're something else. Anyway, the differences between the two before and afters. So that's it. We've run out of time, and I hope that inspires you. So I'll see you next time. I'll see you on Monday, or I'll see you next Friday for this SaaS show. So I'll talk to you then. Have a great weekend. Bye bye for now. Bye bye.